You are listening to the We Are West Ham podcast with me, Will Pugh, and James Jones. England are at the World Cup, but rest assured, there's still a West Ham representative in Nayef, Aguerd, and Morocco who are steamrolling their way to the final, sure to beat France, and absolutely no doubt whatsoever that they'll overcome Argentina, who I'm assuming will reach the final from the other side. Jonesy, great to see you again, mate. We've had a couple of weeks off. Just to let ourselves enjoy the World Cup. I appreciate that there's not a great deal of West Ham content going on. And let's be honest, just to give ourselves a bit of a rest. How you been, mate? What have you been up to? Update me on your movements, thoughts, feelings, and exciting things that have happened in your life since we last spoke.
I'm doing all right, thanks, mate. It's I've enjoyed the break from West Ham and the stress that comes with it. Harrison's birthday the weekend just gone, so that was
huge.
That was
Digger World, wasn't it? Digger party or whatever it was.
Yeah, we put a little digger party for him. So like a digger themed bouncy castle, digger themed soft play, and then he had like a little digger t-shirt and digger themed cake and all the rest of it. As you can guess, he likes his diggers. So yeah, no, it was good fun. It was just seeing his little face on Friday morning on his birthday, waking up, seeing all the presents and which was lovely. But other than that, mate, I've just been kind of watching a bit of the World Cup and just building up to Christmas, which is coming up a lot quicker than I'd anticipated, really, before. It's less than 2 weeks away. But yeah, how have you been?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah. What have I been doing? I've been working my little socks off, actually, during the World Cup. And that's sort of the extent. I've been out for the Christmas festivities have started, haven't they? I had my work Christmas party last week in Waterloo, which was very good fun. Bit of a late night, feeling a little bit sorry for myself the next day. But it was only a one-dayer. It was only a one-dayer. Age 31, as I am now, very recently. The hangovers have started creeping into like 2 days, and then sometimes when they're really bad, like you're still feeling the remnants on day 3, which isn't my favourite thing, to be honest. I've had a bit of a hard time about how much older I'm getting as it is, and when the hangovers started getting bad, I was like, if I can't even like drink the sorrow away, then what have I got? So no, that was a 1-day hangover, which was positive. So I was pleased with that. I'll tell you what I did get the other day, Jonesy. I got myself a Philips One Blade. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or ever used one before. I got gifted one of those, and they're absolutely. As you know, I've got that facial hair. Unlike you, can you grow a proper beard?
I can, yeah. But it takes me longer than it probably should do at the age of 34. But I can do it if I persevere with it. Then yeah.
Does it go all patchy?
I'm over the patchy stage.
Oh yeah.
But which again, at the age of 34, I should have been long gone. But I up until about 2 years ago, I still got it with patchy. But I'm over that. But yeah, I prefer not to.
I agree. But I'm constantly like dancing the line between. If I take too much of, like, because mine's ridiculous. If I grow it, it just looks patchy and scruffy and I look ridiculous. But then if I shave it all off, I look like a chubby 14-year-old boy. So I'm forever dancing the line between trying to find the balance between leaving just enough on so I still look like a grown man, but not leaving it too long to go completely scruffy. So I got a new one of them, which has been a delight. And other than that, I can't really update you with anything exciting. I did some Christmas preparation, some shopping the other day, and some wrapping, which is officially a Will Pugh world record for earliness and preparationness. So I've bought and wrapped 4 birthday presents.
Wow.
Christmas presents. And normally I do it on Christmas Eve, a mad dash around Chelmsford town centre, or city centre as it now is, with my dad, just buying up all the presents we need in one mad dash before a little trip to the pub, and then wrap them on Christmas Eve evening. But yeah, I will still be doing that but I'll have way less to do because I've already done some. So I was quite proud of myself for that.
I'm impressed, mate. I'm a Christmas Eve dasher.
Yeah,
I bought a few things online this year, which have already arrived. But and obviously Harrison's already sorted because we got his with all his birthday presents. But I've done a little bit. But I'm definitely a Christmas Eve rapper.
Yeah,
and I'll definitely need to go out on Christmas Eve and get some bits and pieces as well. So very impressed, mate. That's very good.
Yeah. So no, other than that, just been watching the footy. A little bit of what's it called? Attention focus onto the international stage. What did you make of England then? Obviously, we've got listeners from all over the planet who support different countries, no doubt. But what did you make of for those of you who aren't English and thinking, here we go again? We know we've got a big following in Oz. Socceroos did pretty well, didn't we? We can get onto those in a little bit. Got listeners all over the place, but as far as the majority who do listen in England go, what did you make of the Three Lions performance? Obviously went out. We're recording this on the 12th, so just a couple of days after. They went out to France, 2-1 defeat in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, as everyone knows, I was not looking forward to this World Cup. Generally, not just from an England standpoint, but just generally. But once we got all those boring 0-0s out of the way in the first couple of days, I've actually quite enjoyed the World Cup. It's been pretty good. But from an England point of view, I don't think anyone can be particularly surprised that we went out to France.
No.
I think when you get knocked out by the reigning champions, Kane missed a late penalty. Rubbish penalty. Should at least be at the target. But there was hardly any pressure on him, was there? No, and it's Spurs playing it in the country down. I mean, love to see it, don't you? But
leave it out.
But yeah, it's as soon as it was like France in the quarters, it was like, okay, well, if we go out to the reigning champions, then it's not going to be. We can't be too disheartened.
Yeah, no shame in that.
I think we probably did enough on the night to beat them.
Definitely.
So you look at it and go, okay, well these things happen. It's just when it comes to World Cups, obviously you've got to wait another 4 years before you get another crack at it. By then, players are 4 years older. Luckily, we've got
but that's perfect.
Squad.
You're joking, Bellingham.
That's what I mean. Like, we've got a young squad. I mean, Bellingham's absolutely superb. Definitely the highlight for me for England during the World Cup. I thought he was outstanding.
Even Deckers is like 23 or whatever, isn't he?
Yeah. Declan Rice, he'll be peak.
They'll all be at their peak. So, we are definitely going to win it next time, mate.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the thing, and this is kind of what I mentioned before, was that Southgate, he's a tournament manager, isn't he? He's a tournament manager. Right. Okay, like we were underwhelming in the Nations League. I mean, whether you can call that a tournament or not is a completely different conversation. But we got relegated in that. But I think when it comes to big tournaments, Euros and World Cups, he's certainly a tournament manager, and there's been a debate in there about whether he should go now or whether he should take us into the next Euros and World Cup. Why would you get rid of him? Like, why would you get rid of him?
Exactly.
Like every single
people are actually mental.
Every single manager before him has taken us to World Cups and Euros and just been so incredibly underwhelming. It's been painful to the point where when we got to the semi-finals of the last World Cup, Southgate's first tournament, everyone was like, "What on earth is going on?" Like we were expecting to go out in the groups, and then suddenly we're in the semi-finals, and we should have got the final, really. So, and then obviously we get to the final of the Euros, and then the quarterfinal to this World Cup probably should have been a semi. So you've got to be happy with it. Like we're now going into major tournaments, going, like we've got a chance here. Like we're good enough. We're good enough to at least get to a final. Okay, we've not done it this time around, but we've lost to the reigning champions, the team with the best player in the world. Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of comments on social media, people getting annoyed with Southgate. Oh, he only gave
Rashford. Like for what this time?
He only gave Rashford 5 minutes. It's like, well, like, is Rashford going to?
If one of the best penalty takers, but if one of the best penalty takers in the world bangs a penalty, it's 2-2. Rashford gets the whole of extra time probably, and God knows what happens then. Like,
you can't.
It's so easy to just do that after the event, isn't it?
You can't plan for Kane missing a penalty. I mean, he rarely misses, so he's missed. No. Like, everyone's surprised. I mean, even he's surprised he's missed as well. So, it is. I mean, I wasn't normally. I'm absolutely gutted when England get knocked out of major tournaments, particularly deep in the tournament. But this time, I was like, do you know what? I think we can look back at that and go, yeah, like that was a good run. We've not disgraced ourselves. Scored a lot of goals, which again has always been an issue before Southgate. So I mean, I don't know what all the fuss is about. Like, we'll go again in 2 years for the Euros, and we go into that Euros as favourites. I would have thought.
Definitely, I think that. Yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm happy, and I've enjoyed the tournament all round. I think it's been a good World Cup.
Yeah, no, I sort of, I'm not so sure about that. The mid-season element of it, I think, is rubbish.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and it all just feels like I've got a few friends who are out there, both as fans and people who are colleagues and stuff who are working. And honestly, it doesn't sound like what I like a World Cup or a Euros to be about. There's sort of the sense seems to be that between games, there's not really much of a sense there's anything going on. And, you know, all the stadiums being within close proximity to each other is obviously good from a logistical point of view, but it all just feels a bit like artificial, and having it in the middle of the season is just a complete no-go for me. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous.
But from a football point of view, it's been good.
I think you're probably right, to be honest. Yeah, I think a lot of the games have been really entertaining. We've seen some giant killings, haven't we, which everyone likes to see. But yeah, I think it's one of those where there has been a sense, I don't know if it's the same among your friends and colleagues and family or whatever, that the excitement levels have been dampened, I think. And even, you know, look, obviously everyone gets up for England games, but I just think there's something a little bit wrong about getting ready to watch an England game at the World Cup and it's freezing cold outside. I just think it's wrong, and I just think it diminishes it. And I think with everything else that went on before, but yeah, the football has been pretty good. Any sort of you've been keeping an eye, I guess, on West Ham players? Thilo Kehrer in Germany went out pretty well. It's quite funny. A colleague of mine, big West Ham fan, season ticket holder at London Stadium. He's even more curmudgeonly than me about West Ham and about football in general. So I think it was the first Brazil game, and Paqueta was pretty rubbish. And he's going, it's just a relief. Just like, he can't even play well for Brazil. He's obviously no good. Blah blah blah. It's a relief. And then they played who's the game they played, and they absolutely ran riot, didn't they? Scored a couple of absolute scorching goals. Was it South Korea? I think South it was.
Korea, yeah. Paqueta
scored, didn't he? Yeah. And he had gone a little bit quiet by then. But yeah, much the same about Thilo Kehrer as well. Going, how's he getting in the Germany team? He can't do anything for West Ham. But there's been I mean, Alphonse Areola's in the France squad as well, and I saw him celebrating the other night. Bless him, not that he's contributed too much to their campaign at present. But have you found it sort of from a West Ham perspective then?
I thought we get 8 players there. I think 7 or 8 players.
Nayef Aguerd from Morocco as well got injured, unfortunately.
Yeah, and obviously Morocco had a big story, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I think they've only conceded 1 goal, isn't it? And that goal was his own goal. Good old Aguerd loves an own goal, doesn't he? But yeah, I've been quite impressed with all of them. Paqueta had a bad first game, but has come into his own and was brilliant before they got knocked out. I mean, everyone forgets that Vlasic is still a West Ham player, and
I know
he's been all right, hasn't he?
He's tearing it up for Croatia. He's banged a quality penalty the other night, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were digging West Ham out on social media because they when Croatia knocked Brazil out, it was like, they were like, really sorry, Lucas. I'm sorry that you've been knocked out. And everyone's like, yeah, but congratulate Vlasic as well. Like, he's played a part. He's in the semi-final World Cup, but no such tweet came from that. But Declan Rice was brilliant for England. I don't know who else was there. Kera. I mean, Germany were poor all round, weren't they?
Yeah, not very good at all, were
they? I mean, I don't think there's been anyone.
Well, like I said, Big Alphonse.
Big Alphonse. I mean, he's just there for morale, wasn't he? I mean, part of me was hoping they'd go to penalties and they might stick Alphonse Areola in goal for the penalties.
the penalty specialist.
Diving the wrong way, bless him.
Yeah, Big Deckers then. What do you think? I think he's covered himself in glory. Basically admitted a few weeks ago, didn't he, that he's going to be leaving in the summer.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll see the season. I'm sure he'll see the season out. Don't you think?
He'll see the season out
in January.
I mean, they won't. I mean, the club can't really afford to sell him in January, just given the position we're in. I thought that press conference was a really weird. That the way that he answered was just a little bit like. I mean, I don't know whether it's because it's the timing of the World Cup, and he's always going to. I don't begrudge the question being asked, because journalists have got to ask those sort of questions. We're coming up to a transfer window. He's at a major tournament. The tournament's at a weird time anyway. But I felt like he could have maybe answered it a little bit differently. I've got nothing against what he said.
Mate, I don't care. He's one of the best players we've had. He should be playing the Champions League.
It should be, but I think maybe at that time, given the situation that we're in as a club, and given that he's the club captain, maybe he should have gone, like, I'm not here to talk about the future, I'm here to focus on England. Done. Right?
Yeah, fair enough.
We know that he wants to play Champions League football. We know he's good enough, and he should be playing Champions League football. He should be playing Champions League football this year for West Ham, really. But he's not, and he is good enough, and everyone knows he's leaving in the summer. The club can't afford to sell him in January. Although I'm sure they're pretty tempted if an offer comes in, given the money that he could go for.
No one's forking out. The clubs don't budget for like under £50 million spends in Jan, do they?
But yeah, I don't begrudge anything he said. Everything he said was right. It was fair.
Yeah.
But I think maybe he could have handled that question a little bit better. Given, I mean, if we're fifth in the league and he comes out and says that, you go, all right, fair enough. But we're not. You wouldn't say fair enough. You'd go, oh, if you stay with us, mate, it will be. Well, yeah, I see what you're saying. But the fact is, we come when football starts again on Boxing Day against the league leaders, and we're struggling. We're worried about going down again. Suddenly, all those worries start flooding back. You need your club captain to be on point and be ready for the fight. And coming out 3 or 4 weeks before that game, in the middle of a major tournament for England, going, oh yeah, of course I want to play Champions League football. Yeah, and it's like, come on, like there's ways. There's ways of answering that question.
Yeah.
And I think there was the reaction from West Ham fans. There was a real mixture of. There was a lot of fans going, yeah, fair enough, Dick. Yeah, and other people going, lack of professionalism, should never have answered that question like he did. And I fall in that camp. I just think maybe not a lack of professionalism, but a lack of awareness around the situation at the club and the lack of responsibility he's got, awareness of the responsibility he's got as club captain.
Yeah, I must admit, I didn't really think that, and I'm loath to agree with you or have my mind changed by you. Anyone else is fine.
Yeah.
But no, immediately when you said that as club captain, you're right. You can just make a nothing of it, can't you? Just be like, I'm here to play with England, and that's my sole focus at the moment. And then I'll be back with West Ham, looking to do as best I can with them this season. Those things will happen, but now is certainly not the time to be talking or thinking about it.
Yeah, and he answers that, and then a couple more journalists will press and probe for an answer. And he's just got to bat him off. He's got to be professional about it. And, everyone knows that question's going to be asked by someone at some stage during the World Cup when he's put in front of them. It's just disappointing that he didn't deal with it a little bit better in my eyes. But, I mean, it's done now, isn't it?
Yeah. It was irrelevant, isn't it? Because doesn't matter what he does or doesn't say, really. Yeah. He's going, but fair enough. But I think he's played really well. And honestly, he gave an interview the other day, right? And he said, he was chatting, it was like an England one, and he was like, oh yeah, because for England I play this really disciplined holding midfield role, and I just sit in front of the back four, and for my club I've got more of a free role where I can roam forward. And I was like, exactly, that's why you're really good for England, and have like just not been the same for West Ham this season, why the whole team dynamic is struggling, because of your annoying, frustrating, infuriating desire to try and turn yourself into this Frank Lampard type midfielder, box to box, banging goals in, when you're just not, those aren't your skills. I guarantee, right, mate, and I was having this conversation the other day, and I've banged this drum loads, and people listening are going, oh, here we go again. But I'm telling you, when Declan Rice goes to Manchester City or Chelsea, or I don't think Liverpool will have the money or the particularly the right project for him. Yeah. But and whether they could afford him, I'm not sure. But when he goes to Chelsea or Manchester City or even Manchester United, right? Because anyone who tries to tell me that he's not an upgrade on Fred and Scott McTominay, which plenty of people have tried to do, is absolutely deluded. Yeah. When he goes to any of them teams, if you think for a second he will be playing any sort of freely roaming, attacking role, you've absolutely no chance he will. Absolutely no chance. If clubs are spending that much money on him and paying him the wages he's going to demand, the reason they're doing that is because they want an N'Golo Kante, Claude Makelele, Fernandinho, Rodri type player, of which Declan is fantastic at doing, to do that, clear up, and then give it to their far more talented attacking players, as in attacking players who are far more talented than Declan Rice at attacking. That's what they're going to want to do. You will never, ever see. I will have a bet with you now, Jonesy. Declan Rice will never, ever, ever, ever score more than 10 Premier League goals in a season in his career. Never.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you.
Unlike Frank Lampard, who was like Premier League top goal scorer, was he once or twice? I'm just saying that. I assume he was, but
Frank Lampard was a world class 8, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But Declan Rice is not.
Declan Rice is not an 8.
No, I know people will tell me and they'll get on and as if he is, but then they don't watch world class football players who are good at going forward, because he'll never get more than 10 Prem goals in a season. And as soon as he goes to one of those teams, there's going to be none of this. Oh yeah, I see myself as a bit of a roaming midfielder. Okay, mate. Well, we've just paid 120 million for a holding midfielder, so you'll be playing holding midfield.
Just on that though, I mean, Rice's performances in the position he played for England this World Cup, right? Just it made me think about our last episode before we had the break, and I spoke about Paqueta and Rice in that midfield. Paqueta at 8.
Yeah.
Right? Look at what he did at 8 for Brazil before they got knocked out. Right. Yeah. Okay. Forget the first game; he was awful. Right. If you've got Declan Rice doing for West Ham what he was doing for England, and then you've got Paqueta alongside him doing for West Ham what he's doing for Brazil in the World Cup, right? We are 100 times better, and it's just so obvious that's what we need to do. Just from those two individuals playing for their individual countries over the course of 4 games, put them in the same thing, and you've got a lovely looking midfield there. And it's so
no good at headers though, are they? Like Big Tommy Suchek.
So painfully obvious. I said it before the World Cup. It's become even more obvious during the World Cup. Declan Rice is so good at that role. Just force him to do it.
Anyway, leave it out. I was the one banging that drum the hardest. Don't give me that you were always, just playing at centre back. You were always Mr. Devil's Advocate, piping up and chirping at me, weren't you? When I was saying play him as a holding midfielder.
I'm going back for what I was saying the last episode before we had the break. I said if you fix the Paqueta problem, you fix the Scamacca problem, and that Paqueta problem is the fact he's not playing an 8. The only way he's not playing an 8 is
whacking him in at number 10 who's never played.
Because Declan Rice is going, I'm a roaming midfielder.
I know.
It's just like, no, Dex, just mate, just chill out a little bit. step back and let someone who's actually more than capable of doing it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Let someone who's actually good going forward.
Yeah. So, I mean,
it's like, do you know how many times I've drove through the opposition midfield and dragged one about 10 yards wide of the left post with my right foot?
Yeah, but he did score a screamer against Southampton, so like,
well, a screamer, was it? But that's what I'm saying. That's fine. But do you think for every goal he scored, how many goals do you think his annoying desire to be an attacking player has led us to concede?
I don't disagree at all. I think it's a lot.
Exactly.
But yeah,
it was quite surreal, wasn't it, watching like a Brazil team playing in a knockout game of a World Cup and their star centre midfielder plays for West Ham.
Yeah, you've got like when they score a goal and they're doing their little dance, and you've got like a West Ham player, PSG player, Barcelona player, Real Madrid player. You've just got like Paqueta in, like
big Lucas Paqueta doing samba dance moves next to Neymar. It's like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah.
Love it.
No, well, shame they're both out. Yeah, Nayef Aguerd, the sole, I believe, West Ham representative now left in the World Cup. Jonesy.
Don't forget Areola. They're from Morocco.
Sorry. Yes. Okay. Fine. Yeah. I will definitely forget. Alphonse Areola. What have you made of what's it called? The RGs. I thought they were pretty fortunate. It looked like they were going to go out the other night in their game against Holland. And they've got Croatia in the semis. Croatia, when were they ever good? Do you know what I mean? Why are they just always popping up in like semi-finals and major tournaments?
Very smart, doesn't it?
And big Nikola Vlasic. Sorry, I forgot. So we've got Aguerd, Alphonse, and Vlasic. So we could very well have a World Cup winner in our ranks. Do you think Alfonso, does that count?
No, I think it does. As I said, he's there for morale. He's there to shake everyone's hand after games and congratulate them. I mean, that's important for a squad who's been together for a long period of time in a hot country.
Yeah. What else made me laugh? Sorry. What else made me laugh? Just to sort of sidetrack a little bit. The fact that all of the furor there was about James Maddison beforehand and the geezer hasn't played a single minute.
Yeah.
It's obviously going to happen, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But Gareth Southgate's played that PR battle brilliantly, I thought. Same as picking Trent Alexander-Arnold. No intention of playing him, but gets the media and the press office back. Reece James' injury probably did him a favour with Trent Alexander-Arnold. But, he's like, all right, fine, I'll pick Maddison then. Just like absolutely no intention of giving him any minutes whatsoever.
He's played well for Leicester, but...
you could play well for Leicester, couldn't you?
Yeah, I probably could, to be fair. But yeah, where were we?
Sorry, I was saying, what have you made of the RGs? And then we were saying about Alphonse Areola, and it's important for he's there shaking everyone's hand, getting involved in the celebrations, which is vital.
From an RG's point of view, I really want to see Messi lift the World Cup. I think
I grow up. Honestly.
It'll be a wonderful end to a wonderful career.
It was just a wonderful career. He stayed at the same club until he was literally forced out by league regulations. Stayed in his comfort zone the whole time, unlike Ronaldo.
Absolutely delighted that Ronaldo was walking off crying the other night. Got everything he deserved after the way he's behaved, particularly over the last few months. Petulant little child. So I'm glad. I'm so glad that it come out on Instagram. Didn't it? Go, no, it was the one dream I've ever always had, and it's the dream's over now. And it's like, yeah, well, mate, like, you are like there have been stages where you've been like holding Portugal back as well as Man United. So
could be at the next World Cup though, couldn't he?
I mean, it wouldn't be surprised me if he was. He's rolling out at 42 years old or however.
41 or whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see now. Obviously, the dream was the Argentina-Portugal final, Messi-Ronaldo face-off. But I really want to see.
I actually wouldn't have minded England being there, mate.
Of course, yeah. That was the other dream. That was the other dream.
God, you're such a content creator, aren't you? Just thinking of the clicks.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. But I want to see Messi. I want to see Messi lift it. It will. I think it'd be fitting, wouldn't it, for him to lift it after the career he's had, the goals he's scored, the records he's broken. for him to secure to lift the trophy, the only trophy he's not won in his entire career.
He hasn't won the Betway Cup.
He hasn't won the Betway Cup. It's very true. But other than the Betway Cup, he will complete the set for him. So I hope he wins it. Yeah,
I don't think, mate.
They have been generally quite underwhelming, though, Argentina.
I don't think they will. That's what I mean. They rely too heavily on him, don't they? Look too weak elsewhere. I think can't see beyond France.
I've watched them a few times and just I was expecting far better from them, and they've really. The Messi scored 6 goals, and a lot of them have been penalties. Was it 5 goals? A lot of them have been penalties. It's like you'd expect more from a team like that with a player like that, but.
Yeah,
they've managed to get themselves to the semi-final. Like no reason why they can't go all the way. So, but yeah, I think it's been quite a good tournament.
I think mate. I can't. I think it'll be a struggle getting past Croatia, as they've proved. I think they probably will, but I can't see past France.
How do you?
France will win it again.
Yeah, probably. Where do you stand? I mean, I saw. I don't know who it was. I saw a clip of this on Instagram. Someone saying that if it ended up being a Croatia-Morocco final, it would be the worst thing to happen to a World Cup ever.
Oh, the best thing. What's the matter with people?
What? I was
like underdogs.
And he was basically saying it's not what the World Cup's all about. The World Cup's watching 2 of the best countries in the world battle it out in the final. So if you've got either Croatia versus France or Morocco versus Argentina, like they're like, no, that's rubbish. That's rubbish. Like they basically had a pup at France, Croatia in the last World Cup, going, oh, that was a rubbish final. Like it ended up being a France smashed them 4-1. But imagine it was a Croatia Morocco final. Like, do you think that would be great, or do you think that'd just be a little bit like, what?
No, I think it'd be absolutely incredible. I think that would be amazing. Those sort of people didn't like Leicester winning the league. Those sort of people like Premier League corporate shills who think that there's only any value when the big sides do it. I think it would be the most incredible sporting tale ever if Morocco, they're already the most successful African country at World Cup ever, first to reach the semi-finals. If they was to get to the final and win the flipping thing, it would be one of the most phenomenal sporting tales of all time.
I agree with that. Right. But what I will say is that I hated Leicester winning the Premier League.
You're a loser, mate. You're a loser.
Out of pure jealousy, I was like, how dare they? How dare they come up to the Premier League, like, almost go down and then go and win the Premier League? Like while we're all like struggling every year. How dare they come up and do that? Like, absolutely disgraceful.
The most annoying thing about it was that they cheated us of the 3 points at the King Power, didn't they, on the running? Was that when Aaron Cresswell scored a screamer, didn't he?
Yeah,
and then Vardy died for a pen, didn't he? He gets sent off.
Yeah, he did get sent off in the end. He might have sent off, yeah.
But that was the only robbery. And we drew in the end, didn't we? We were going to get on for a win. That was the only robbery of that. But I mean, the alternative, mate, was Tottenham winning it that season. So
I know. I mean, when you look back, fair play. Rather Leicester win it, but I just hated that season. I mean, one thing I did, it's a good season for West Ham, but oh my god, I hated that. I just hated it so much.
You're a weird bloke. One thing I did mean to get you on, the referee's performance, England v France. What were your thoughts?
I think refereeing the whole of the World Cup's been pretty poor.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't think it's been very good at all.
Mm.
And I think it was very poor against in the England game the other night. Like, in the first half, the penalty that went to VAR, which was it in the area? Was it out of the area? I thought that's a penalty. I thought the foul in the build up to their first goal was a foul. I just all in all, it was just a poor refereeing performance. And it shouldn't be happening at games at that level.
Yeah,
we're talking about a World Cup, and the referees, the officials at World Cups, supposed to be the best at doing what they do from their country, and they're on literally excuse the cliche, but the biggest stage on earth, and you're making poor decisions, making mistakes, even with the help of VAR, and you're still getting it wrong. Those sort of mistakes shouldn't happen at World Cups, particularly at quarterfinals level. But they have been. It's not just in the France game; it's happened in lots of games.
I sort of agree. I don't know. It's not like xenophobia or anything like that, but I do think the fact that having a Brazilian ref who's used to reffing in the Brazilian league, like look at England v France, I don't think it's beyond the realms of like sensibleness there to have a German or a Spanish or an Italian official take charge of that game. Do you know what I mean? Because it just feels like, a lot of those players there are European players anyway. So they're playing in big European leagues as it is.
The cultural differences in the way that the game's played.
Just the speed and the intensity of the game, the quality of the league. Let's be like, I say, that's why it's not a xenophobic thing at all. Let's be frank about it. All 5 of Europe's top leagues are considerably better than the speed and quality and physicality of the Brazilian league. That's a fact. So to have, I just think to have a Brazilian official take in charge of a quarterfinal between 2 European sides, all of whom I would imagine, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine 98% of the players for both of those teams play in one of Europe's top 5 leagues. So, to have a German, Spanish or Italian ref take charge of that, I don't know. It just why not do that?
Obvious,
do you know what I mean? It does seem obvious. It just seems a bit odd. And some of the other stuff, some of the comments that have come out, you had an Argentinian ref taking charge of the Portugal-Morocco game, didn't you? Pepe and Bruno Fernandes afterwards saying it was a disgrace. I don't know. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Where, I don't know. This World Cup particularly, I think, has shone. Not that anyone was in doubt before about the kind of organisation FIFA appears to be, but I don't know. It just sort of, you get into a little bit of dodgy territory, don't you? We know how the tournament was won, right? We know that there was Sepp Blatter's been got suspended from football, that sort of thing. We know that there was sort of dodgy dealings going on in the way that the tournament ended up in Qatar anyway. I find, and I think that just opens the door. I'm not saying I agree with any refereeing conspiracies. I'm not saying that, but it does open the door to, players and fans and whatever going, oh, that's a bit dodgy. And that's what you've had that a few times, haven't you? Like coming out after the game and saying such things.
We had it within 3 minutes of the first game kicking off, Ecuador and Qatar, when Ecuador scored a perfectly good goal, and then suddenly VAR found this really dodgy offside call, and it was literally in 3 minutes of the World Cup kicking off. Everyone was like, "Hang on, Qatar got 1-0 down after 3 minutes, and it's been ruled out." Very, very it was a very skeptical call. And so, okay, well, it started already, is it? There've been so many little calls like that. But then when you get the players come out and start questioning stuff, it does amplify the conspiracies a little bit. But I mean, I don't for one think that any referees have been bought or anything like that.
Oh God, no.
But it feeds the fire, doesn't it? It feeds the conspiracies.
I just think that Brazilian ref the other night, Wilton Sampaio, his name was. He was just a poor referee. I think he just missed. I don't even think he was particularly biased. I think he was just rubbish.
It goes back to my original point: is that you shouldn't be having poor referees at World Cups. This is the World Cup.
No, true. You've got to have them from all over the place, but
you do.
If he's the best Brazilian, Jesus, poor old Brazilian fans.
But at the same time, if he's the best Brazilian, fine. But why have you given him a World Cup quarter-final? You don't have to give.
Yeah, true.
He's refereed a couple of games earlier on in the tournament, and he's been deemed.
Give him Qatar, Ecuador.
He's been deemed good enough to qualify to referee a quarter-final, because when he gets the knockouts, referees are selected based on their performances in the group stages.
Yeah. Well, he did have a good tournament up until then. I spoke to Mark Halsey the other day, and he said, he's been very good up to that game. But
I don't know. I don't know.
Let the pressure get to him.
Maybe.
Right, Jonesy, I think we'd have to wrap up. We just thought we'd drop a little podcast. We did promise we'd do one during the World Cup. So here we are. England are out already, unfortunately, at the quarterfinal stage, but no shame in it whatsoever. I think Jonesy and I are universally agreed that we should keep Gareth Southgate on. I don't want to personally offend anyone, but if you're not of the same opinion, you are wrong. So fingers crossed, Big Gazza stays on until the Euros in Germany in 2024, Jonesy. I fancy a little trip out there for that. That'd be very exciting indeed. West Ham kick off again in the Premier League on Boxing Day away at Arsenal. I'm trying to wangle myself a ticket to that one, Jonesy. Are you going? Are your father-in-law, is it, who supports is a good
No, we won't be going, but we'll be watching it over at my brother-in-law's in Bury St Edmunds. It's going to be me and 5 Arsenal fans in the house watching it.
That's not great, is it?
Yeah, lovely.
Well, no Gabriel Jesus, he'll be out, won't he?
Yeah, that makes no difference, really, does it?
No, this is true.
Right, yeah, true. I'm absolutely dreading it for that reason and the reason that West Ham are back. I mean, don't worry about that.
Exactly. You never know, right? This World Cup might be transformational for the club. Absolutely transformational.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We haven't really, Jonesy, discussed what we're going to do. We normally have Christmas off, but obviously we had the break for the World Cup. Jonesy and I will be in touch. I'm assuming, Jonesy, it's 2 weeks until that game. Is it safe to say that we'll do another pod in the build-up to the Gooners game, even if it is just a sort of summary of how the World Cup finished in the end, if we've got any hammer World Cup winners and a little opposition view, which I'm sure we'll be able to get.
Yeah, so what, maybe this time in 2 weeks we'll have another one in the build-up to...
Well, no, this time in 2 weeks is the game. That's Boxing Day. So
all right,
perhaps next week sometime.
Next week sometime, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to look at dates, but yeah, we're getting close to being back to full normal schedule, aren't we?
In the full swing of things, as it were, and then in the new year it'll be every Monday night / Tuesday morning UK time as usual. Thanks for listening, everyone. Just a reminder that you can follow us on Twitter at @WeAre_West Ham. Instagram, we are West Ham Pod. On Twitter, I'm at William Pugh _. James is at by James Jones. If you fancy giving our personal accounts a follow as well. Where else are we on, Jonesy? Facebook. You can search We Are West Ham Podcast over there. YouTube, which James Jones has been doing a spectacular job of keeping the channel in good nick. That's We Are West Ham Podcast. Search us over there on YouTube as well, and you can buy us a beer, a little Christmas beer if you fancy it, a little festive gift for me and Jonesy at buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham. That's buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham. You can buy us a pint, Jonesy and I. We're going to try and sneak one in over Christmas at some stage if we can. If you fancy chipping in, as a few of you said you do around Christmas, that would be lovely. It's buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham if you fancy doing that. As we've always say to you, that money only gets spent on beers over the bar or podcast equipment or guest fees to make the show better for you guys. Thanks for listening. We hope you've enjoyed the World Cup as much as me and Jonesy have, even though we've both openly admitted that we didn't enjoy it perhaps as much as we have previous ones. But the next one's going to be an absolute corker, though, Jonesy, isn't it? We're definitely going to win it, first of all, so that's good. And a World Cup in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. That sounds absolutely brilliant. I've got my eye on that one for sure. But thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the World Cup. Enjoy the rest of it. We'll speak to you before Christmas, so we'll give you some festive greetings then. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week. Up the Hammers, up the Three Lions, and we'll see you next week.